that can be the only man that can be the biker advocate for the Ride or Die Brotherhood. You'll want to ride with the best. Ride with the old Reb and Company on the Reb Rider Show.
This is Mark Hoffman, host of the Patriot Nation Radio Show Live, and you are listening to Rapid Fire Radio.
Thank you, Mark Hoffman, for that introduction. The old Reb worldwide on rapidfire.caster.fm, where you never know what's going to happen next. The question we want to ask ourselves today is, should China and Bill Gates be buying up land in this country? And if you don't know what's going on, you need to know what's going on, because China is buying up land next to the Air Force Base up in North Dakota with the governor's blessing up there. And if you don't believe that, do the research and learn it for yourself. Bill Gates buying up the farmland all over the place. You know, when I was in grade school, they warned us. And that was a long time ago, which means I've been on this planet a long time to figure out what's going on. They warned us that we would be taken over from within, and it's happening right before our eyes. And these people, why would you sell your farmland to China? You know, the almighty buck, how long is that going to last for you? Hope it works out for you. You could take that money and pile it up and jump off of it for all I care, because that's all it's going to be helping you once they put you in chains. And you better think about it quick and fast. The gun control people are never stopping, always on the march to disarm us. Why? Real Americans know the answer. And if you're not a real American, then I guess you need to bow down and lick the chains that bind you. On another interesting note, the federal government denied the fireworks permit to the governor of South Dakota. Of course, we knew that was going to happen, right? You know, who the hell is in charge of what? And how did we ever let that monument become a federal monument? It belongs to the state of South Dakota. It was built here and it belongs here. And I'm going to correct this for the record. It is not the shrine of democracy. It is the shrine of the republic. And when people tell you you're trying to ruin the democracy, you bet we are. We don't like mob rule. I don't like it. You don't like it. We don't like foreign entities coming in and taking over. You know, do you think that China would allow us to buy up land next to an air base over there in China? Think about that for one moment, you know. But it's okay if we do it right here in good old America. How long is America going to last, folks? Now we see in the news that Steve Bannon has been found guilty, and the judge might, he's not too sure yet, but he might just drop the charges. But, you know, let's scare the hell out of Steve Bannon, right? And it goes on and on. Other associates of Trump, and then trying to accuse Trump of things he didn't do. And it tells us they're recklessly scared. And they want these people out of the way because they want their agenda. You know, Biden, everything's fine. Good old Sloppy Joe. You know what, Sloppy Joe? You need to go back to the farm or wherever you crawled out of. We're tired of hearing about you. We're tired of hearing about all these people, Bill Gates, you know, and all this shot business and whatever. The principles that our founding fathers set down in America are this: we have the right to pursue happiness. And we're not pursuing happiness if we decide we don't want to put something into our body that we feel ain't right for us. Now, if you want to believe what you see on other mainstream media, you go for it. You're headed down the wrong path. Fake news is going to wind up on the ash heap of history because they're going down quick. And when you get the news and things on this program, you're going to get it right. And if I make a mistake, I'll come on here and I'll tell you so. And I will not be compromised one way or the other. I am here for one thing and one thing only, and that's freedom. The right to pick and choose. And like I've always described in previous shows, and we'll go into this again for the benefit of those who don't understand how the Constitution works, is that when I'm on my lawn, minding my own business, I'm not going to interfere with your rights. But if you come onto my lawn and interfere with my rights, then you're going to have to go to your lawn and exercise your rights how you see fit. And I don't care about the rest of you out there. You do whatever you have to do. Like the old Montgomery Gentry song, I'll do my thing and you do yours. But all this negativity and all the bad, look at the press lately. Look at mainstream. Attack after attack after attack. Trump's associates, Trump this, Trump that. And yet, it's about as bad as the debacle with Russia for the last 3 years that they could find nothing on. Nothing. I see we got a phone call coming in here, and I'm going to have to mute that because I can't have that during a live show, so we'll just turn that off. How about that? There we go. I keep forgetting that's one thing I need to do when I prep for this show is turn that doggone thing off, Kind of hard to remember all those things, I guess, but that's how it is. Anyway, I apologize to my viewers and listeners for the interruption. There are good people out there. Some of you may not think so, but I'll tell you what, the number one on my list is the American biker. God bless all of you that are listening to this program. Those of you who are listening, share this everywhere. Everyone has a connection with a biker. And 98% of the time, bikers are good folks. They do more charity work than the U.S. government ever thought of doing. Another question we want to ask ourselves while we're talking about freedom, and oh boy, I'm gonna get hell for this, I'll bet you. But you know what? I've been a biker all my life, and the most disturbing thing to me is the fact that we're denied access to some areas, and the First Amendment is clear. We have the right to freedom of association and to freedom of the clothing that we choose to wear. And some of the clothing we choose to wear is for our protection going down the road. And freedom of association, which means if you want to be a member of the Elks Club, you can. If you want to be a Shriner, whatever you want to be. If you want to be in a motorcycle club, and let's be clear about that word, club. Not a gang. And you bring a gang into the picture, and I'll cut you right off. We know that some police departments across this land can act like a gang, and we'll use that word on them. Now, I don't mean to badmouth law enforcement because I am for good law enforcement. But some of the corrupt outfits, we have no use for you. Sturgis time coming up here within days pretty soon. The question we want to ask ourselves, all the businesses deny the clubs the right to wear their colors into their establishment as dictated to them by law enforcement, And law enforcement, in some instances, thinks that, well, they got a patch on their badge. Well, now, just a minute. What about the American Legion riders? Are you going to penalize them when they wear their patch? They can't go in somewhere? How about the Soldiers Combat Association? I'm not sure I got that right, but if I'm wrong, I apologize to you brothers out there. How come they can't come in? Some of these clubs, you're going to be lucky they're around when things go down. I want to do a special shout out because I was impressed one day. I was at the Quest Casino in Pierce, South Dakota, and they had a bike fest over there. And my good friend, whom I will call Fuel Pump because that's his road name, was kind enough to ask me to come over there and associate with everybody, which I did. I wished I would have thought about filming it so that you could see for yourself, and I apologize for that. But a group called the Bellator Titans came there, and I don't know the exact figure, but it appeared to me about 20 or 25 of them. I met with most of them, very personable, nice, respectful, out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, I believe they were from. And I met their head man, Big B Farmer, a real freedom fighter who fights every day for you and me. And I just couldn't help but looking at how well mannered these folks were and how good they were and organized they were. And you could tell they'd been at it for a long time. That's a fact. And I got to meet Big B, very personable. Gave me his personal card. I was so humbled. Big B, I can't thank you enough, brother, and all the rest of your group. A real law-abiding motorcycle club, and yet they can't wear the clothing of their choice out in Sturgis, South Dakota, and yet the police, the law enforcement, they dictate that, and yet they have no problem with the Hells Angels clubhouse next door to the police department. Now, how does this work? And I got all the respect in the world for the Hells Angels, but they're worried about stuff, and the Hells Angels are next door. And I'll bet you the number one contributor to the police department when it comes to charity work is the Hells Angels. So, it don't make sense, folks. It does not make sense. And they want to prevent fights. Well, okay. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. Law enforcement wants to have motorcycle clubs to look like the real clubs. And they can. So what does that do for you? They have law enforcement motorcycle clubs, and they want to be just like the clubs that started the whole thing. Motorcycle clubs started Sturgis, in case you didn't know. Don't they let the local gypsy Jack Pine wear their patches into the establishments? That's like a slap in the face for the gypsy Jack Pines, if that's the case. America, we have to take the country back, folks. We can't sit here and keep allowing this stuff. The motorcycle clubs have freedom of association, period. When everybody goes to the rally, that's neutral territory. Everybody, all motorcycle clubs, all motorcycle riders, all mom and pop riders show up. Everybody respects one another. They know the protocol, and if you don't know the protocol, you better get to looking into it. You be respectful, and you'll get it back. What was the old saying? Respect me, and I'll respect you better. I'll treat you better. And the motorcycle clubs have a right to pursue their happiness. Now, there's a bad element in everything, folks. Human beings are not perfect. The police have a bad element. Some biker clans have a bad element, but not all. The majority of the lawful biker movement is very good to their communities, and the communities are good back to them. Out in West River, South Dakota, the Ride or Die Brotherhood is on the move. They want to do charity, and they go to local businesses and support them, and they're treated good because they treat them good. Just something to think about. In the capital city of South Dakota, you have the Cryptic Knights. Knights of the Road of old, out there helping folks. Special shout out to you, Fuel Pump. You know who you are. Good friend of mine. Something to think about, America. All these rights they want to take away from us, and yet nobody does anything about it with the exception of a small faction of the folks, patriots, whatever you want to call them, good folks that love our country and want the right thing for our country. This broadcast is brought to you by Headquarters 605 on Main Street in the capital city of South Dakota, Pierre, South Dakota. Get a hold of Trent or Brandy Barth or Dawn Daughters down there. You can find them on Facebook. Headquarters 605, your natural remedy store, and I ought to know I use their products. And when I use those products, I feel really good. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm talking about I'm pain-free when I start using those products, and I like it. I highly recommend it. So if you need to check it out, check it out. If you're not in the area and you still want to check it out, I'm sure they'd be willing to ship to you. Headquarters 605. Look for them on Facebook. You won't go wrong. But anyway, the question we have to ask ourselves is why these things are occurring in South Dakota and around the country, especially the buying up of the farmland. You know, we know that right up in the top of the state of South Dakota, there are vast oil reserves up there, and it sounds to me like that some of the people that own that land up there want to build their own refinery so they can be independent of Uncle Sam. My hat is off to you. I hope it goes through. And don't let anything deter you. Don't ever give up. Do not surrender. Constant vigilance, my friends. Stay armed and do not be intimidated by somebody over on the left-hand side that says that you can't do this or that, because on about a daily basis, they're breaking the law, and so is the government. They break the law on a daily basis under the regime that I do not recognize, Biden, sloppy Biden. So you do the research. Don't believe what the old Reb tells you. You learn and find out about it. And find out about like-minded shows like Patriot Nation Radio with Mark Hoffman and Live Truth Radio with Brian Lang and on and on. Because they're the ones that are going to tell you the real truth, because mainstream media isn't going to give it to you. And I just saw a statistic the other day on on CNN that they have dropped 73%. CNN, bye-bye. You didn't learn by the way you addressed America with your lies. And it's nothing new to the folks. We know we're on to you. We're not going to allow any more this business of them messing with our children, if I speak for a lot of people out here and around the country. We're getting tired of that. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the freedom fighters that tackle that angle are the ones like Randy Davis with the Watchmen. And folks like Jeremy Dieter with the Freeman Report. Always on the watch to provide you with information like the scandalous, corrupt FBI trying to frame the Michigan militia people to kidnap the governor of Michigan, which never was a plan. It was all planned by the FBI. I haven't spoken out about this, but I'm doing it now. Check it out. Go to YouTube and look up the Freeman Report. You'll find it, and they'll give you all the evidence you need to know. And look for Lazaro Esanaro, the man with all the facts. You can find him on Facebook, and he'll fill you in because he's loaded with information on a nonstop, continuous basis. I get inundated with information from Lazaro just alone, among the other contacts I have around the country. We are dedicated to American freedom and the right to pursue happiness, and it doesn't matter, I guess, if the Constitution isn't correct or how some folks would say, but I'll tell you what, if we still want to be free, so if you don't like the Constitution and you still want to be free, I guess that's okay. We can't allow the powers that be dictate to us how the course of events are going to go. We're not going along with it. We want to be left alone. American bikers like to climb on their machines and ride free with their hair in the wind. You know? Another example is that I can give you for freedom fighting is the Bait of South Dakota. If you don't know who they are, look them up. They're freedom fighters. They fight for you. They fight for freedom of the road. And they're a good bunch of folks. And some folks may not think so. But I, having been in it for a long time and reestablishing a chapter out here in South Dakota many, many years ago, along with its charity raising event, the Fun Run, which I instituted when I first got the chapter back going, along with a handful of other folks. And, that's an achievement to have that. I believe we started in about 1989. And the thing is still going today, and I take my hat off to them for that. I appreciate them. I appreciate the state coordinator out there in South Dakota, Jigs Cressy, for always visiting with me when he can and correcting me if I make a mistake. And you know what? I'm humble enough to accept that. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And so be it. But on a personal level, we can agree to disagree. I'm not going to hate you for that. I'm gonna, I understand it. I want you to know. So all good organizations that I've talked about today in South Dakota, now I don't know yet if they're buying up. Yeah, maybe they are. I don't know. If they're buying up farmland in South Dakota, I would hope that Governor Noem wouldn't allow that, But if it's happening, be ready, Americans. These folks are relentless. They don't give up. You want them to go away and they keep showing up. It's like the Clintons. What a headache with those people. They can't seem to get it in their head that they're over with. They're washed up. And yet every now and then they pop up, Go home, stay home. Stay out of the American folks' business. And the main thing I want to bring up is Washington, D.C. politics don't belong anywhere, especially in South Dakota. We don't want it. Keep it to yourself. And all your cronies out there, and remember the bad check scandal long ago? All they got was their hand slapped a little bit. What if you and I done that? You think we could handle that? We'd be in jail, and we'd be in there for a long, long time. Like some of these folks that are jailed for some of the stupidest things, and yet they don't let them out. And I'll give you a real good case. Ed Brown from New Hampshire. He questioned our tax system and told the government, show me the law, and they never would. But because Ed Brown was a nuisance along with his wife, they decided this guy has to go and we're going to take his land, and they did. And they put them in there in jail to the point that they'll be 100 years old when they get out. That's not right. That isn't even, what type of a crime is that? No one got hurt. The guy wanted to live free to be free. He expressed his opinion. And some judge in New Hampshire decided he didn't like him, and he liked Ed's land better than he liked Ed. Check out this stuff. Do the research on it. You've got the tax protesters up there in North Dakota that had a big deal out of things up there, a guy by the name of Gordon Call and his son Yori Call. And federal marshals shot Yori Call. What did Gordon do? He had to shoot back at them. If it was your son, what would you do? Well, it was okay for them to shoot him, right? The government, they make the mistakes. They're the ones that do this stuff, and then they gotta have damage control. So they got to make these people into terrible, bad folks. Gordon Call was a World War II veteran, for goodness sake. He had a right to talk about taxes, and he didn't need the government to come and try to arrest him for something that they trumped up on him. And Yori Call, to this day, is in jail. And he's the guy that got shot. And I think he fired back too. But you know what? How many years does it take? They can sure let the John Hinckley man out for shooting Reagan because he's rehabilitated. You think these people, when they reach a certain age in jail, are going to go out and harm somebody? I'd be afraid that, what's old John Hinckley going to do now? He ain't that old yet. And I never did buy the story that with him and his little actress buddy, because if you do the research, you'll see that John Hinckley family was associated with the George Bush clan. And if you don't think that's the case, you better look it up. William Cooper was the grandfather of alternative media, as far as this report is concerned. And I believe exactly at the time and now, and William Cooper isn't with us no more, the news that he had to put out. He warned us about the very things that are going on, and nobody does a thing about it because it's called apathy. Now, like some of these groups that I've mentioned, did you ever notice that when you go to a function, it's the same people that are always there handling everything? You know why that is? Because those are the dedicated ones, and the rest of what is out there has the apathy. They're good about showing up to the function and doing the party and then heading out, and they don't care about anything else. That's the apathy end of it. The rest of them are always doing a good job. They're always fighting for freedom and on the constant watch. If you need to get a hold of me, you can find me on Rapid Fire Radio and TV page on Facebook, the Reb Rider Show page on Facebook, and we also can be found on Ride or Die Brotherhood Nation group on Facebook, dedicated to defending the Constitution of the United States of America. This radio station is a nonpartisan radio station, and we are dedicated to the movement of freedom and taking a stand. And let us never forget the memory of Lavoy Finnegan. What did he do? He didn't do anything, did he? He got out of the truck and ran through the snow with his hands in the air because he did not want his friends in the truck to get hurt. It's easy to see, and it's easy to figure out. And then what do? They shoot him and say he went for a gun, but yet he wasn't armed. And if he was armed, have they ever produced the evidence to show it to us? I could be wrong. I've never seen anything, and I watch these things. We can't let that episode of Lavoy Finnegan go away. We can't let the episode of Randy Weaver's family being shot up in Ruby Ridge. We certainly can't let the episode of Waco go away. And there are some folks out there convinced, yep, the Waco folks were bad people. Well, if they were so bad, why did the United States government shoot gas into a house and burn the place to the ground? And then take a bulldozer and cover up the evidence? Because they were worried about an arsenal of guns. What were you so worried about? Them folk, if the folks had as many guns, as they wanted. They didn't come after you, Uncle Sam. You came after them. You come after them. And you come after a lot of people. And until we get to the bottom of these people, it's going to continue. And if we can't have the right form of freedom, I mean, they make us feel comfortable with the fact that we have firearms, but yet if something happens with a firearm, it's a terrible, terrible thing. You're the bad guy. We worked hard in America, those of us who work, and everything that we worked for, we bought and paid for, including our troops, for goodness sakes. And if somebody wants to come after something that you own and you paid for, they got to just plain be out of their minds. You remember the old saying by Thomas Jefferson? A government big enough to give you everything is big enough to take it away from you. You know? And you work hard and you pay off your land, you pay off your house, you don't own it anyway. You're still paying tax on the doggone stuff. So you were not truly free at all. And I don't really know what the answer is. I'm not a violent guy, but you know what? The standard of defense should always be recognized. The castle doctrine, where a man's home is his castle. You don't want to be disturbed there, unless you got friends coming over or whatever. You got home invasions. You got criminals running rampant across this country, and we're supposed to just sit back there and try to talk folks out of it? Who's going to wait for that anymore? You going to wait for that? Guy breaks into your house with a knife and says, I'm taking stuff. And you tell him, well, could you just put the knife down and we'll have a cup of coffee together? I don't think that's going to happen at all. I don't think that's going to work. So you think about the things the old Reb said today and understand that we're on the edge and freedom isn't free. We have got to fight for it and never, ever give up. And like Ronald Reagan said, we're the last stronghold. There's no other place to go. There's no other place to go. And just like natural remedies, there is a cure for cancer. I've talked about this. You know, the mindset with this business of radiation and chemotherapy, it just boggles my mind. I made this statement a long time ago, and I'm going to do it again today. Do you think when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima in Japan during World War II and the radiation went through the villages that everybody felt fine? Well, I had a relative where a doctor told him, when we get done with radiation, you'll feel fine. And I thought, you got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. Anytime I've ever seen any radiation patient, they look like they've aged 100 years when they get done. And chemotherapy, let's go there while I'm on here. You can go right in the room and take a look at the little carton box, whatever that stuff comes in, and it says carcinogen on there. Ring, ring, ring. The alarms, red flags. It should warn you. Carcinogens, so that your cancer can recur. I'm sorry. I have to tell you this. Doctors are good for broken legs, stitching stuff, and, you know, maybe ingrown toenails, who knows? But when it comes to disease, they're behind the times. They go to their little book. Well, you need this pill. You know, how about the cure? We don't want a pill. We want the cure. And the cure for cancer has been around for a long, long time, and I don't care what anyone tells you. I don't care what they tell you. Let it sink in. They want you dead. Check the labels on food and see what's in it. They poisoned our food, our water, everything. And we're supposed to just sit back and allow this to continue, and trying to indoctrinate our children with stupidity. Wake up, America, before it's too late. And we're close. We're close. Put a stop to it. Some of these commercials that I see on TV, China's going to take over the tech industry. Call John Thune and tell him to put a stop to it. Well, John Thune, we haven't even heard from you much. You're too busy worrying about your money supply, I'm thinking. I don't see John Thune or any of them going after corrupt politicians. I don't see it. I mean, we watch Mitch McConnell comes on TV and he decides whatever he's going to do, and you got John Thune standing in the back behind the guy, egging him on. In the beginning, and I seen this with my own eyes, when John Thune started, he took on Tom Daschle, and he was tough as nails with that guy. But you get in the old boy establishment, and then it all changes. Because they'll tell you, hey, look, man, you got to go along with the program. There's bucks in it for everybody. We'll see that you get in office, and then when your time to retire is, man, we got you set up. You don't have to do nothing. And I don't know if John Thune has ever did anything that I can tell. The South Dakota Canvassing Group is checking into election fraud, and believe me, in the state of South Dakota, they're going to get to the bottom of it. And mainstream media always saying Trump's big lie about the election being rigged, and on about they target folks. The minute somebody comes up with something that might be helpful, the mainstream media, they're continuing on with the big lie. Well, you know what, mainstream media? You've been lying all along. You've been lying all along. We're done with you. We can't tell one way or the other. I shut you all off. I'm glad, man. I got peace of mind. I have a select few of alternative media that I keep an eye on, and that's it. I don't miss any of the rest of it. That kind of stuff would keep you on the edge of the chair, because if you believe that, you might get high blood pressure or something else they want you to have because of their gloom and doom every day, or this isn't right, that isn't right, and they have a version of their constitution that they go by. Then we see on the news that if Nancy Pelosi goes to Taiwan, the Chinese will send the military. You know what, China? Do America a favor. Get a hold of Taiwan on the phone, make a deal with them, and tell them when Nancy gets there, they'll turn her over to you, and you'll be doing America a favor by it. That would be the thing you could do, China, and leave the Taiwan folks alone. They want it to be free. You want to claim that as your land. Well, what was on it before they went there? Nothing. And he didn't seem to have a particular claim back when there was nothing on it. You just can't stand the fact that those people on that little island are walking around doing what they want, and they're not following your guidelines under your goofy regime material or whatever. How in the hell did China get so fantastically ahead in just 20 years? It's crazy. I mean, these people are working on trying to get to the moon now, and they have to have the world's biggest navy. And boy, the minute they get this stuff, then they get up there and they're like the guy that did the battery commercial, and he put the battery on his shoulder. Go ahead, knock her off my shoulder. That's how China is acting right now. And they're not afraid. They've made it clear they have world conquest in mind. I don't know. I guess we can just keep on the watch. Make sure that you keep on the watch. There's a gentleman out there named Jared who does Guns and Gadgets, the premier source for Second Amendment news. It's good. He's on YouTube. Look him up. Very good information. We share that information when that comes out, and we broadcast it over Rapid Fire Radio from time to time. If you want to listen to a fantastic radio station, you'll check into rapidfire.caster.fm. You can also find us on Roku under My Tuner Radio and Get Me Radio apps. Load them, and you can get Rapid Fire Radio and listen to it on a daily basis. And tell your friends across the country until we have a network linked with Rapid Fire Radio and TV so that like-minded individuals can get the news that they want and know that it's correct. All right. Let's see what we can do here next. Every time I try to do something here, there's always some kind of a copyright infringement, and I'm getting to the point I'm sick of it. I'm a radio station, and we have the right to play these things. But yet, if we try to do it, they always want to mute the music or something, just plain crazy stuff. I want to see if I can find the people that hold the copyright on patriotic songs, what difference would it make to them? Don't they want their song to be played? You only have one song that you put out. How much money do you need to make on it? I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Crazy America. I'm going to do it anyway, though, because that's the rebel in me. I'm going to close out the show with a song that I've always loved. Americans, South Dakotans, I love you. The ones that fight for freedom, you'll never know what it means to me to have the friendships that you have given me and valued my trust as much as I value yours. God bless all of you. God bless the American biker. God bless the farmers and ranchers that helped build this country. God bless good law enforcement and elected officials, county sheriffs across this great land that we live in. And God bless our troops. And most of all, God bless alternative media. The old Reb, I'm out of here for now. We're going to leave you with this song. I'm sure you'll know what it is. It means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to you. And that ends our broadcast for today. God bless all of you.